Welcome to the Maha Kumbh Mela, India's grandest festival of faith, filth and fatalities. A place where millions gather hoping for salvation, but many end up meeting Yamraj instead. They say this is an ancient tradition that happens once in 144 years due to a rare planetary alignment. They say a dip in the Ganga here washes away sins and grants Moksha. What they don't say is how many people have died in stampedes, how fake astrology is repackaged as divine timing, and how this so-called holy water is a cocktail of sewage, bacteria and industrial waste. This year's Mahakumbh was initially dominated by an IIT Baba and later by a hazelite bangle seller before Yamraj arrived on the scene and took the center stage. He ensured that around 30 people reached their end of lives at the Mela grounds and 18 people boarded their last heaven-bound train at the New Delhi railway station. So today, let's break down the myths, expose the scams and ask the question, do we really need the Mahakumbh? Hello, my name is Anand and you're watching Pale Blue Thoughts, the channel which exposes pseudoscience and brings to light the weakness of all religions. If you like videos on science, rationality and logic, this is a channel to watch. So please press the subscribe and bell buttons to get notified. So without wasting any more time, let us take a look at the greatest spectacle of mass delusion, the Maha Kumbh Mela. Sorry, the Maha Dump Mela. Faith is supposed to give you peace, but here it gets you crushed under a stampede of fellow devotees. Let's take a moment to appreciate just how divine this experience is. Take a look at the deaths that have happened in connection with the Kumbh Mela over the years. And mind you, these are just officially reported numbers. Who knows how many uncounted lives were lost? Now, you may be thinking, how does this happen every time? Surely by now, they must have a plan. Nope, because when blind faith trumps common sense, disaster is inevitable. The government spends thousands of crores on arrangements, but somehow basic crowd control always fails. The irony? The same people who believe the Ganga can purify their sins end up trampling over each other just to get there. If the gods really wanted you to attain Moksha, wouldn't they at least make sure you got there alive? These incidents are not isolated. Over the past 2 decades, India has witnessed numerous stampedes during religious events, leading to significant loss of life. The recurring nature of these tragedies raises critical questions about the efficacy of crowd management and the prioritization of safety over tradition. Now let us talk about the once in 144 years celestial miracle. A planetary alignment so rare, so mystical that if you miss it, you will have to wait for another 144 years. Or will you? Take a look at these press reports from various Kumbh Melas. Each one claims that this is a once in a 144 year miracle. So whether it is in 2001, 2013 or 2025, the Kumbh Mela always happens once in 144 years. Now that is what I call a real miracle. A marketing miracle. The 144 year cycle is made up. There is no unique astronomical event tied to it. Yes, it is absolute nonsense, just like everything else surrounding the event. How else can you market something if you can't claim it to be a once in a lifetime event? Basically, it is just that big ball of gas named Jupiter makes a full revolution around the sun. Nothing special about it. Here is what happens. The Kumbh Mela is held in a 12-year cycle at 4 different locations: Prayagraj, Haridwar, Nashik and Ujjain. The Mahakumbh is just an exaggerated version of this event in Prayagraj, conveniently hyped up for tourism and religious commerce. The so-called planetary alignment happens way more frequently than they claim and has no special impact on Earth. The claim that Jupiter's position makes the Ganga holy during Kumbh is nothing more than astrological pseudoscience. The event is historically, culturally, and politically motivated, but astronomy plays no real role. And while we are on the subject, can someone explain why planets millions of kilometers away have an interest in your bathing habits? Do they keep a register of who dips where and how often? Maybe Saturn has a checklist like, Sharmaji took a dip today. Let us give him a 5% discount on his karma debt. Speaking of karma, if your past sins can be erased by simply dunking yourself in a river, then every criminal should be taking early baths. Imagine if that logic applied to law. Your Honor, my client did kill his friend, but he also took a dip in the Ganga. Case dismissed. The truth is, planetary alignments happen frequently in different variations. The idea that this specific configuration is unique is pure astrological nonsense. Planets follow predictable orbits. There is nothing divine about it. And let us not forget astrology, the ancient science that somehow forgot to predict COVID-19 but can totally tell you when you will find your soulmate and when you will get rich. The Mahakumbh's timing is based on a system designed centuries ago by people who thought the earth was flat and that eclipses were caused by a snake swallowing the sun. But hey, let us ignore science because a Baba with a long beard said so. There is also a legend that the Mahakumbh began when the gods and demons played a celestial game of finders keepers with a pot of immortality nectar. Apparently, a few drops fell on the 4 towns of Haridwar, Nasik, Ujjain and Prayagraj, and that is why people gather there. Now, let us come to the holy dip, the ultimate one-time cleansing service. No refunds, no guarantees. They say one punch in the Ganga during the Mahakumbh and boom, Moksha unlocked, sins erased, straight entry to the VIP lounge of the afterlife. But wait a minute. How does this work exactly? Is there a counter in heaven keeping track? Oh, this guy cheated on his wife, but he bathed in the Ganga. So let us erase that one. Seriously, who came up with this? Some vague scripture written centuries ago by people who didn't even have basic knowledge of science. And here we are in 2025, still believing it. We will come to this moksha bit a bit later. But before that, let's look at some health impacts of the Mela first. The Ganges is one of the most polluted rivers in the world, filled with industrial waste, sewage, and even human remains. Studies have found high levels of fecal coliform bacteria, making it a breeding ground for waterborne diseases. Devotees who take a dip thinking that they are cleansing their souls are more likely just giving themselves a free ticket to cholera, dysentery, or something even worse. Ironically, the very people who worship the river are the ones polluting it the most. Thousands of tons of garbage, plastic, and human waste are dumped into the river after each Kumbh. You may be cleansing yourself, but you're polluting a river that is supposed to give clean drinking water to millions of people in the country. Now, there are scientific reports coming from the Central Pollution Control Board that the water at the Kumbh site is unfit for bathing and consumption. For those seeking spiritual cleansing, think again. Only 18 spots along the river are deemed fit for bathing. The remaining 62 locations fail to meet the basic standards for safe bathing, exposing devotees to a host of health hazards. Reminds me of this joke from the famous Mind Your Language series.
Oh, eau de toilette.
Excuse please, what is the nature of the gift you are receiving from Daniel?
Eau de toilette. Toilet water. You put it on your face.
You are putting water from the toilet on your face?
The presence of coliform bacteria, an indicator of fecal contamination, is alarmingly high. In many stretches, coliform levels exceed safe limits by a staggering margin, rendering the water hazardous for any form of contact. So, in reality, instead of washing away sins, you're more likely to come out with a bacterial infection, a skin rash, and a possible case of typhoid. Divine, isn't it? Let us not even get into the logistics of it. You're bathing in the same spot where someone just washed their sins and probably their underwear. Do you really think that millions of Indians who generally lack civic sense would wait patiently in a queue outside toilets every morning to do poo-poo when there is a nice free riverbank available to drop their stuff? No ways. And while we are at it, let us talk about Ganga, the supposedly holy water people store for blessings. Fun fact, that bottle of divine water you keep at home, might as well call it or the E. coli. Now, let us come to the topic of Moksha, the ultimate exit strategy from the cycle of birth and death. A concept so powerful that it has been monetized better than any corporate business model. Like any good scam, the Mahakumbh has a tiered service model. If you are an average devotee, you get to fight through stampedes, risk infections, and hope the gods notice your struggles. But if you have the right amount of money, suddenly your moksha process is much more comfortable. Like everything else in this country, moksha too is ruled by money. The VIPs and the VVIPs get special preference while the common public has to endure jam-packed trains, long lines, and have to take a dip in filthy, shitty water to attain moksha. The rich sit in air-conditioned tents, get ferried to cleaner waters, and get to cleanse their souls in private. Can't make it to the Mahakumbh? No problemo. There is a Kumbh Mela Ultra Pro Max mode available. For a small fee, a priest will take a dip on your behalf with your photo and transfer the spiritual benefits to you. And does anyone have any evidence for a soul or that soul could attain moksha? Does anyone remember anything from their past lives? How does one know that there is a second inning? The soul, that invisible, untraceable entity that somehow records all your deeds while existing outside the realm of physics. And of course, the soul is carrying the burden of your past lives too, because just one life isn't enough to be miserable, right? The belief that a holy dip grants you moksha is a masterstroke in religious marketing. No evidence, no proof, just blind faith wrapped in centuries old storytelling. If a soul truly existed, shouldn't we have detected it by now? Scientists have measured everything from gravitational waves to the sound of black holes, but no one has ever found a soul particle. Maybe it's hiding in the same realm where astrology predictions actually work. I had done a video called Hotel Karma Inn some time ago where I had debunked this concept of soul in detail. Now let us talk about the human cost. Every Kumbh Mela has seen tragic stampedes due to overcrowding. Hundreds have died over the years, crushed under the weight of blind faith and poor management. But do the religious gurus, babas and politicians care? Of course not. For them, the Mahakumbh is a billion-dollar business. Hotels, transport services, fake spiritual guides, everyone profits from this circus, while common people risk their lives to be part of it. And let us not forget the exploitative donation scams. Lakhs of rupees are donated to ashrams and temples, yet we see no improvement in public facilities, no help for the poor devotees who spend their life savings to attend. Where does the money go? Into the pockets of self-styled godmen and corrupt officials. The media claims that over 50 crores of people have visited Prayagraj this year so far. That is 500 million, by the way. This number looks dubious and fabricated many folds. In 2024, approximately 110 crore or 1.1 billion people followed Hinduism in India. 500 million means every second Indian has already visited the Kumbh. That is assuming only Hindus visit the event. Even if you consider that 100 million people of foreign origin has visited from other countries, it is still a huge number to swallow. Does the media even know what 50 crore actually is? That is more than the entire population of the USA, Russia and Brazil combined. Are we sure they didn't accidentally count pigeons, monkeys, and repeated footfalls? Let us break this down logically. The total land area available for the Mela is limited. Prayagraj itself is around 82 square kilometers. Even if we generously assume the entire city was converted into a pilgrimage site, packing 50 crore people there would mean over 60 lakh people per square kilometer. That is beyond absurd. Even the most densely populated areas in the world like Dharavi in Mumbai have around 1 lakh people per square kilometer at the most. You might argue that they visited during the entire month. That is a fair point. It is not like all 50 crore people showed up on a single day and formed a human pyramid over Prayagraj. But even if we consider the entire duration of the Kumbh, the math still doesn't add up logically. Let us assume the Mela lasts around 50 days. That would mean an average of 1 crore people per day. Even on the busiest days, Prayagraj doesn't have the infrastructure to handle such footfalls without turning into a human sardine can. The entire city has a population of around 60 lakhs. So, are we saying that every single day a city's worth of people came and went? That too without causing complete logistical collapse? Most of these estimates are based on random guesswork, often inflated for prestige and funding. Governments and event organizers have a vested interest in showing exaggerated numbers because a record-breaking Kumbh is great PR. The organizers and government benefit from inflating these numbers. Bigger figures mean more funding, more hype, and more blind faith tourism. The actual number of visitors might be high, but 50 crore is just a PR stunt. If that many people actually arrived, Prayagraj would collapse under its own weight. By the way, who's actually counting the heads? Do we have an entry-exit counter at every road, train and riverbank? Or is the counting method as scientific as astrology? Just throw in a big number and hope no one questions it. Plus, let's factor in repeat visitors. If someone comes thrice, are they counted as 3 different people? By that logic, the IIT Baba, who probably baths daily, could be responsible for 50 people's worth of statistics. Mona Lisa herself would have been counted 1 crore times by the looks of the reels that have been made on her. So, while the crowd is definitely massive, 50 crore is a government-approved fantasy number, much like the scientific proof of cow urine curing diseases. The final dip day is coming up on the 26th of Feb, a day celebrated as Maha Shivratri in India, a day when a certain Sadguru does not let people sleep. I hope nothing happens at the Mela that would put more people to sleep forever. So why does the Mahakumbh still continue despite its obvious dangers and irrational foundations? Because faith sells. It is that simple. Government supports it because it's a tourism goldmine. Religious institutions promote it because it keeps their business alive. And the masses follow it because they are conditioned to believe without questioning. If there is no evidence of a soul, there is no afterlife. And if there is no afterlife, what exactly are you trying to liberate yourself from? The only liberation you need is from blind faith and superstition. At a time when every tech giant is busy trying to send missions to Mars, creating magic using artificial intelligence, we are still stuck worshipping river water and drinking AC water in temples and touching the walls of flyovers for divine blessings. The Mahakumbh is not a miracle. It is not a divine event. It is an expensive, deadly, and exploitative tradition that thrives on blind faith and misinformation. It is, without a doubt, the greatest scam on earth. If you really want purification, try purifying your mind with knowledge. If you want to help humanity, donate to science, education, and healthcare instead of religious scams. It is time to evolve beyond these superstitions. Spread the truth. Question everything. Think rationally. Live freely.